All right, welcome. This is Sheila Ganella.
And Talya.
Yep, and Talya Lutzker, and we are partners in crime in a beautiful, blissful Ayurvedic rest and digest retreat that we will be hosting in March of 2020, March 21st to 28th, and we are so excited. And we wanted to just share more about the retreat and our vision of it. And because we've been both sending out emails, and if you feel like you are interested and curious, then we want to just invite you to take a little watch for this and listen. And if you feel so inspired, we would be so thrilled to have you join us. So this is something that we've kind of been strumming up for actually a couple years. So Talya and I have known each other for a while. I met her because we both had the same Ayurveda teacher, and we met at the center. And I remember, like, man, Talya had written a book, and she was an amazing chef, and she was a practitioner, and she lived down in Santa Cruz. Like, everything about her was just so cool and inspiring. And so, I kind of really vividly remembered my interaction with her. And then a while later, she came back into my world, and she was taking one of my classes that I was teaching. And I think it was sort of like this, I already was like, and then I think she was like, so we just...
So I want everyone to know who's like part of my world that doesn't know Sheila as well as I do. She is one of the most effective, clear, profound teachers of nutrition that I've ever encountered. Really, I mean, I don't even want to say second only to, but Deanna, our mutual Ayurveda teacher, like, she is my nutrition guru, right? I learned everything from her. But then Sheila comes in and adds this whole other depth to it that's beyond Ayurveda, really. Like the, some of the information that you bring is definitely from another realm, but it just enhances everything that we're already aiming for with Ayurvedic nourishment. I just love learning with you. You are really one of the best educators around, and such a beautiful, loving soul. So that, I'm really excited to be leading a retreat with you. It's like amazing.
Yay.
And will be amazing for everyone who joins us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're really excited. And I actually made a few slides just to show the beautifulness of where we're going, and just to kind of guide us in sharing a little bit about the where we're going. So let me, oops, of course I'm at the wrong slide to start. There we go. Let me just start here. So rest and digest, Ayurvedic retreat. I'm really excited about just even the name rest and digest. And to me, a true vacation that is really restorative is about resting and digesting. And it's really about tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. And I think too, I'll just say, and then I'll throw it over to you, Talya, like so many of us, and just even, our students and our clients, we're a lot of times we're doing a lot of the right things, but it's also that just ability to be able to come down and tap into that rest and digest mode and out of fight or flight. Then that's where the transformation is. And to me, that is Ayurveda in a lot of ways. Like that beautiful combination of self-care and nourishment that it offers to us. And it can sometimes be confusing. So we just really want to create this immersion where you really just get it into your bones.
Literally. Yeah. And this is my experience, especially like lately I've had my life has been overly full, and not like in a good way, right? It's like, oh my gosh, every day, like, how am I going to manage all of this? And not all of it is work. A lot of it has been personal. I got a puppy this summer. There's just been so much going on. And, when you really dive into the Ayurvedic way of living, part of the, I want to call it a requirement, that's not really the right word, but I think part of what it calls you to do is to create more spaciousness in your life, like not in every single moment of the day necessarily, but in these pockets throughout the day. And when you have a lot on your plate, because, and I'm just being honest of like, wow, I usually don't struggle with this, but lately it's just been more than I've ever had to deal with before. And so I'm right there with my students of like, so when you're so busy, how do you create the spaciousness? How do you really open it up? And you have to, I believe, you have to create the space. There is no other way around it. It doesn't matter how many goji berries you put into your tea or how much ashwagandha you stir into your oatmeal. It doesn't matter if you are not creating space to rest and digest. I mean, that's why we calling this retreat that. You're never gonna quite get to that recovery zone, you know, and it's the recovery zone that you don't even have to be there for that long. That's the thing. You could be there for 72 hours, which is 3 days in a row, and be like, I am a new human. I am a restored human being. Zuzil, leave it. We're going to be doing this for almost 8 days in a row. I mean, so we're going to get to like drop in those first few days and then just continue to unwind. So by the time you leave the retreat, you're just going to be like radiating this inner glow that maybe you haven't felt in a really long time. And it's so crucial. I mean, I'm like so passionate about it right now because I personally need this so much. I'm going on my own personal retreat next week. So that I really am the example, right? Mary Sheila and I both are committed to this as a way of life for ourselves because we care about our health, but also we're really passionate about what we do. And we know how important it is to be the example and to walk the talk. Sorry, my dog is like so insane. No, she's not. She's actually so mellow and so cute, but she just has a lot of toys and she's very restless today. So, or
like
tonight.
When you get on the phone, when you're a parent and get on the phone, they need you. So you're on your Zoom call.
Yeah, right. She's like, Mom.
Yeah. So, Talya, I know you just you know, briefly, just tell a little bit about your background. You know, just a little more about all the amazing things you've done.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that most people want to know, like, how did we come to practice Ayurveda? And I was just talking about this today with a new client. So I started practicing yoga when I was 21, and I am going to be the yoga teacher of this retreat. I'm really excited to teach yoga as part of our retreat. And I'd been practicing yoga for about 8 years when I went to become a yoga teacher training. A yoga teacher. And I was at my yoga teacher training when two significant things happened. Number one, we were introduced to Ayurveda, and it was in the form of a dosha quiz. And I was like, okay, like, I've never heard of this. Seems pretty interesting, but I don't know. I didn't really resonate with it, but we took a test. And I was just like, oh, you know, interesting. And my answers were not correct, meaning the way I answered the questions gave me the results of a dosha that is not mine, that is not who I am. And at that time, I was still very much in the throes of recovering from an eating disorder from my early 20s. Can you even hear me over the phone? And you know, I stood up with this group of people who also thought they were that constitution, and it just was very triggering for me because it wasn't even my constitution, but that's how I saw myself. And then fast forward like 2 or 3 days, and I broke out in psoriasis all over my body, literally overnight. So itchy, like welts. I mean, it was absolutely insane. I don't know if anyone has experienced anything like that. It was so crazy. And I knew that I needed to find healing for whatever was at the root of that outbreak. And so I started seeking out holistic healthcare practitioners. And I stumbled upon our teacher, Deanna Batdorf, when I was at there used to be a festival in Sonoma County called the Health and Harmony Retreat. It's not called that anymore. But she had a booth, and it was like, I mean, I can't even explain it. It was literally like being drawn to a flame. I just was like, what is that? Smells amazing. She looks so cool. What is going on over there? And then, she's like, yeah, I teach Ayurveda. I read pulse. I look at your tongue. And I was like, me. What? Something's wrong with me. And so I met with her. She read my pulse, which is the most accurate Ayurvedic assessment tool. A dosha test is really, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. I hope this is okay. I believe that a dosha test is an educational tool to introduce you to the doshas, to help you understand what qualities belong to which dosha. I don't believe that a dosha test is an accurate assessment tool when what you're really wanting to do is learn Ayurveda and learn how to apply it to your life. But that's another story. But so she read my pulse and sat with me and really looked at me and told me what my dosha was. And it was like a wave of relief to just be like, oh my God, that makes sense. This other thing didn't make sense, but I was so convinced, just because I had just convinced myself that I knew about this science that I didn't know anything about. And so she really became my teacher that day. And within 6 weeks of working with her, so only 6 weeks of applying the principles of Ayurveda, I lost 10 pounds, which was 10 pounds of weight that I had been carrying for almost 10 years, and that was what was driving my bulimia. I got my period for the first time regularly. Like it started coming regularly then. That was also in about 10 years. I hadn't had a regular period ever. I just didn't think I would ever. I didn't think it was my nature. My mood improved. My body warmed up. I started like finding passion for my life. I started having fun again. It was so transformational that it just blew my mind. And then I started cooking, and I spent every day, I swear, during that time of my life, I spent every day of my life cooking for hours. And I would go to Sebastopol every 5 or 6 weeks. That was 3 hours away from where I lived. And I would bring my food. And Deanna was like, not everybody does this. Like, not everyone does what you're doing with Ayurveda and takes it to the level that you are. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever. I had no idea that this would end up being my livelihood, but it was like a wave that I started surfing, and I've just never got off. I fall sometimes, have to get back on my board and paddle back out, but like never, ever, ever leaving this ocean of healing and restoration. And this is part of what makes me so passionate about it. So sorry for such a long story. I hope that was okay.
Good. It's all good. I love it. Well,
I've been alone all day.
And you've been a practitioner for a long time, and you're a great teacher and educator as well, and practitioner, and you know it in your own body, and that's so awesome. And just because some of your people are going to be, or your people, we're combining our efforts. So I'll just share a little bit about myself too. I'm a practitioner for about 12 years now, and I started with holistic nutrition. And really, similar in the sense that every practitioner, I think, has a journey and a story. And, mine was just kind of growing up with the standard American diet fare and the dieting mentality, and, similar to what you explained. And then also really, a lot of antibiotics. And it was really when I discovered food, like that grew from the ground and that came from a farm and didn't just have a package that told me it was maybe fat-free or this or that, that like my body just started transforming, and I was sold. And I was up in Sonoma County, so from Southern California, and it was just like paradise of, the farming and agricultural community. And I just really dove into that. And and one of the things that really transformed my health was fermentation. So I'm really into fermentation. I'm really into the gut microbiome and just that whole connection, the gut-brain connection and the immune system being right there, and really like the whole rest and digest system in the body, just to simply put it. Anyways, I studied nutrition, and then I actually knew Deanna because we live in the same community. And after I studied more Western nutrition for 2 years, I went and studied with her, which was, I always like to say, it's like peeling the onion and going deeper and really being able to look at, wow, like what am I, hot, cold, wet, dry? And is whatever somebody, what I'm feeling, is that hot, cold, wet, dry? And what about these foods? And so it's really this beautiful dance of giving your body exactly what you need. I was a teacher at Bowman College for 7 years, and I've been teaching kind of all around the county where I live. I teach mindful eating classes and blood sugar classes. And a lot of my philosophy really comes down to sort of looking at the chakra system and also looking at the hormonal system, and really the link between that, between the emotional and the physical, and how those are so linked up. And that's what I love about Ayurveda, is like when I geek out on the science of nutrition, I can just see the two and the way they come together. And that's what I really love to share when I teach and work with clients. So I'm in Occidental, which is in Sonoma County, and I do some teaching also at the Dhyana Center as well. And it's just, I love to share the good word of nutrition, as I like to say, and through that lens of Ayurveda. So just let us tell you just a little bit about the where we're going to do this retreat. And we are going to do it at a place called Marysheila, which is a wellness resort. And I am a big fan of Big Sur Jade. It's something I've love to go pick with my good girlfriend who lives down there. So I was just, I love the name, the Sea of Jade. It's right outside of Puerto Vallarta in the state of Chicala. And it has a beautiful mission. You might be able to speak to the mission better than I can, but it's been around for a while, and it's just a really beautiful resort. Anyway, so it is a beautiful, a really beautiful wellness resort, and that's where we're going to be for a whole week, studying and also playing. I mean, again, when we think about rest and digest, the theme of that, or the idea of rest and digest, is, again, so many of us are probably doing so many good things for our health, but it's also sort of how we do it, right? It's the difference between maybe, driving our car and eating while we're driving if we're late, to just really being present with what we're doing. And like Talya was saying, like finding that space to really do that and cultivating that space. So the rest and digest is really the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the gut-brain axis. And when we can tap into that, and when you even give yourself that gift of tapping into it for a whole week, that's really sort of how you can fill your cup, how you can calm your nervous system. And
turn down your stress response.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's a big thing for a lot of people, feeling like the veil between them and the world is so thin. They're just so irritated and so reactive. So that's part of this, right? Parasympathetic nervous system access is your stress response will go so down, and that energy that gets expressed as frustration will instead feed your lower chakras and your the root of your endocrine health. So there'll be, right, this is a pathway to hormonal balancing as well. Absolutely. Sorry, is that okay? I jumped in right there.
Oh no, it's all good. We have to get used to that with each other.
Hi, Tom. We have someone new joining us.
Yeah, that's John. Hey, John. So while we want to share the Ayurvedic teachings and principles and really dive in, it's also about exploring a beautiful place in Mexico. It's a beautiful resort. There's pools and spas and yoga classes and jungles all around, and it's on a 17-acre farm and beautiful beaches nearby. So it's really also about just resting and enjoying the beautiful
playing. Yeah, and playing and getting into our little people parts of our spirits, right?
Totally. Yes,
we're gonna and one of the things that we are both very we both hold in very high esteem is there is no pressure on this retreat. If you come and you're like, oh cool, I totally want to be here learning, and then one day you're like, I do not want anything structured, we'll be like, bye, have fun, we can't wait to see you when you get back. You are the boss. You are the boss of your own freedom throughout this entire retreat. And I always like to know that that's an option for me when I go on retreat with people. So we're definitely of that mind. And of course, if you thrive on structure, that will be something we're providing throughout the week as well. So Mary Sheila and I are going to be holding space for whatever you need throughout the week, including if you need to really, check in and be held emotionally or psychically, mentally. One that I find that happens when we really let go is some things that you weren't allowing to come to the surface or weren't even aware were there will come to the surface. And so, that's something I really treasure and believe we need to hold space for as well. So, this retreat is going to mean something different for everybody, and we're just going to hold the space for it to be what truly nourishes and nurtures you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I'll just share from my own experience, I remember really being intrigued with Ayurveda and always thinking I kind of understood what I was, but I didn't really get it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm Vata Pitta Kapha. I don't know what I am and how to really work with that. And I feel like it is a little bit confusing until you really deep dive. And it wasn't until I had a teacher and I, sat down and really learned it. And then also applied it to my body, actually physically doing the work. And that's what we want to do, is just share some of the, the self-care that is so rooted. It is the root of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is not about go to the doctor first. It's take care of yourself first and then take the next, and to learn that stuff. So we're going to immerse ourselves in the principles and the self-care principles. And so you're going to go away and understand. And if if you're just somebody that wants to learn about it, awesome. If you're somebody that's a practitioner and you want to teach your clients more about it and learn about it, it's also great in that sense too.
Super amazing.
And then we're really going to dive into the whole food nutrition and talk about, really how to optimize digestion and just, boost that and calm the immune system too. Because again, one of the things that I know Talya and we've talked about this a lot, we both see a lot, is there's so much autoimmune. There's so much more gut sensitivity and food sensitivity. And honestly, again, when we can activate our rest and digest, we can activate that system before we eat and during the day, then we have more of that buffer to protect our immune system. So it starts to calm down. And sometimes people will be doing everything right, and it's really about that piece that needs to shift. And that's what we're going to kind of work on as well. Yay. And then Talya is going to teach us and be our yoga teacher, right?
I mean, and I do want to welcome it. I mean, I already know there's a couple of yoga teachers who are thinking about coming, and they may want to contribute. We'll be open to that, but there's some very specific, it's not even really restorative yoga. We don't call it that in the lineage where I've learned it, but it is so deeply restorative. So the yoga is going to be so incredible for your nervous system. I just can't wait for you to experience it. Such amazing deep work, yet it's not everyone's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, we've kind of already said this, but it's just really like, we're just excited about sharing a retreat that is all about restoration and all about rest and digest and having fun and being together. So, yeah. And, you know, one thing I just want to say about this too is it's, you know, a lot of times, look, we can't really in our busy lives, and we can't always control or eliminate all the stressors in our life, but oftentimes it's how we respond to them, right? And sometimes that's, you know, we have to change the neural pathways when we do that. And that's something that we'll be talking about as well.
It's always how we respond to them.
Exactly. So it's March 21st through 28th. And again, it's in Chacala, Mexico, which is near Puerto Vallarta. 7 days in paradise. And we have an early bird special right now. And we're offering $500 off the regular price. And we actually just lowered the price. So maybe you could get like your that page ready, and you can share in a moment, just because I don't know if I could do that too. But anyway,
I have it.
Yeah. So we just want you to know that right now, like the price for the retreat is $500 off. So it's $1,000. And then you go to the retreat center and you book your room and all that. But that's for like just really all the teachings. And we're going to have a beautiful book that comes with it. And we're going to do a pre-retreat call. We even have a little package we're going to send out for the early birds in the mail, and a really beautiful Ayurvedic assessment. And
it's unique and amazing and very in-depth.
Totally. I mean,
we'll be exploring with you before we actually go on retreat. And then when we're at retreat, we're going to know like where you're at, what you're working on, what your limitations are, so that we'll be able to give you some one-on-one support for what you're dealing with currently. If you are dealing with something like, kind of heavy or inflamed, or your vata's out of whack, whatever.
Yeah, we did. We created like an assessment, and that brought in the Ayurvedic piece, but then also brought in each of the glandular piece, like looking emotionally and looking physically. Really sort of help, it's assessments like this that I use a lot, probably you do, Talya, to like really look and hone in, like, wow, where is it in the body that, emotionally and physically that kind of needs addressing in that sense.
Yeah.
And right now, like until Monday, if you sign up, since you're going to be filling out that whole pre-retreat questionnaire, we have two things that we want to offer you if you sign up by Monday to get the $500 off. And that's actually good until the end of September. So if you kind of need to think about it, or you want to grab find a friend who you want to go with so you could get a room together. Or a couple friends, actually, because if you do that, it sort of lowers the price at the resort as well. But if you sign up before Monday, September 9th, you will get Talya's Ayurvedic breakfast makeover and recipes. And it's so awesome, Talya. It's a really great comprehensive. It's like, she does some assessments with you in the form. And then, what is a great breakfast if you're more vata or pitta or kapha. Beautiful food, because it's, Talya's recipes. And then I will offer you, once you fill out the form, a one-on-one consult that just really dives into that and sort of gives you even more insight of what you can work on. connected to your health goals. So that is, what
connected to our what?
To connect to your health goals. So when you fill out the assessment form, I'll go over that with you and give you my recommendations based on what I see from that.
Thank you. Can you spell the name of the city in Mexico?
Yeah, so it is called the town is called Chacala, Chacala, and it's not too far from Puerto Vallarta.
So
Okay,
one thing that we're going to do before the retreat, we're going to have a live community call in February. And on that call, we will do some coordination of, kind of getting groups together to take, to join forces for public transportation from Puerto Vallarta to the retreat center. So there'll be some, we'll definitely help you when we get closer to the retreat in actually getting your body to the retreat center. You just need to get yourself to Puerto Vallarta.
So that's where the airport is, or that people fly in?
Yeah, it's the most convenient, closest place to fly in, and it's pretty fair ticket prices too. So I can share my screen if you want me to, marysheila. You just let me know. And I'm so happy there's Ellie and Tracy and Debbie are here. I didn't see everyone who was here when we first got on. So we want to take questions. We're here to take your questions if you have any about this retreat, or how if you have questions about how Ayurveda may work for you, how you're going to be able to apply Ayurveda inside of the retreat. Like if there's any questions, this is the time. So maybe if you want to show your screen, you can, and then you can wave your hand. We know that you're raising your hand that way. There's also a button somewhere where you can raise your hand, but I can never remember where it is.
Can you see mine?
Sure.
Can you see
your hand?
Okay. I this is my first time doing this, so I was glad you could hear me. I slid to the right a minute ago and said the microphone was on, but I was something about leaving the page, and
no worries. Just technology. It's Vata. Yeah. It's Vata. Technology is a Vata experience, like all the way. Lisa, do you have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wondered what does your average day look like when you're in Mexico? Are you doing some teaching, so many hours of teaching, and then there's free time, or could you give us a sense of what it looks like?
Yeah. Can I say something, marysheila?
Please.
Do you want to say something too?
Go for it. I'll say if I need to, I will.
Okay. So marysheila and I are still in the planning phase of what it looks like day to day. Like we don't have the totally set up yet, but one of my visions for the retreat, and we will have, it's not going to necessarily be the same every day, but mornings will be leisurely. There will be an optional, some kind of movement. So whether it's the yoga or a group walk, or which we probably won't do, or swimming or whatever. I'm all, ooh, group walk, that doesn't sound good. I mean, whatever.
How about a beach walk, Talya? That sounds good.
Something where we're moving our bodies and awakening our breath and being together. Then we'll sit down for breakfast. There will be a space. Like, it's so important that everything we do all day, there's space around it. So there's not going to be rushing from one thing to the next. But then after breakfast, there will be a teaching period for sure in the morning before lunch. And then after lunch, there will most often be a siesta time so that we actually get to rest and digest. And then depending on the day, we will do more teaching in the afternoon. It'll be a different type of teaching in the afternoon because we'll be in a different space energy-wise. And then most of our nights will be free, but we do have something special planned for the end of the week, like sort of a little fun thing towards the end of the week. And Mary Sheila and I will both be teaching meditation. So we may do meditations at night, even those would be optional. So that's a gist, you know.
Okay.
And right, the teachings will always be different. So one thing I would love to do, although we haven't totally cleared this with the retreat center, is, you know, we want to teach you some things about Ayurvedic cooking. And so wouldn't it be cool if one afternoon we're actually making part of dinner, you know, as a group.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be things like that. But the real brainiac stuff we will mostly do in the early part of the day when our bodies and minds are the most able to absorb that kind of mental stimulation and absorb.
You got it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Lisa.
So are meals included in this retreat price, or so basically a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or there's a snack time? I don't know when you're eating in this way, you know, how many meals there are and how that works.
There's 3 meals a day from the retreat center, but I'm sure that there's also snacks, and we'll make sure that there are. I mean, fresh fruit, like we're in Mexico, so the fruit is amazing. And Mary Sheila and I were talking, like, you know, what kind of special things that we're going to bring that are specifically Ayurvedic in nature that we can then, you know, make as a group, or her and I may make stuff the day before you all arrive, and have things like that available, like Ayurvedic tea and, you know, our.
Do you think you'll have to ship things? I'm sorry. Do you think you'll have to ship things into the country separately ahead of time, or things you can?
No, we would just bring it in our suitcases.
Okay, I didn't know with customs and things like that how that would be, but
yeah, I think that would be
Bring
okay.
too much stuff, just so, you know, little.
Yeah, we won't go too crazy. But plenty of food. You will be well nourished. Should that be what you need, we will make sure that your nourishment is our first priority.
Definitely.
and pure drinking water is another concern I have. You know what?
Yeah, there's great water there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like, I haven't been myself yet, but one of my primary yoga teachers has led a retreat here the past couple of winters. This is how we knew about this retreat center, I think. It's how I did.
Been around since the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, she just can't say enough good things about it. I mean, she's just like, it's just epic in every single way. I mean, and even that they have a mission, like they're supporting Montessori schools and all these, you know, educating young people in their community. The farm is, we eat from the farm, you know, the food that they grow is the food that we're eating.
Wow,
The food is good.
that's
Yeah.
really spoiled. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I just wondered, you know, Mary Sheila, you said that I would get a link once I paid so I could sign up for room and stuff. I don't think I've seen that yet.
Okay, I'll make sure you get that.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that.
Great.
It might
No
be
problem.
in your spam, but I'll make sure I'll send it again.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Woohoo, Susan's coming.
Any other questions? Tracy or John?
No, you've actually answered pretty much everything.
Oh, good.
I have
Cool.
a question.
Okay,
Yeah.
hi.
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if you already brought this up. As far as the cost of the resort and all of that, is there information
Yeah, it's Mary Sheila. Go ahead and share my screen.
So you have
no, I can share it. Never mind. Yeah. I said it, and then I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Okay, here it is. So Mary Sheila put a link in the chat box. And for those of you who are watching the replay, it's in the email that led you to this replay. When you're on that page and you're like, yes, I want to go on retreat, you click on one of those buttons and it takes you to this page where you can see this is the $1,000 sale price of the retreat between now and September 30th. Then the price is going up by, I think, $200 or more. And then here, oh yeah, there it is. It'll be, so this is the pricing and the dates. You can see when we kind of shift things. So actually $1,000 through Monday, October 1st. And then this is the total pricing with the room accommodation at Mar de Jade. So the ocean room is the fanciest room. The garden room is the next nicest room. The dorm room is shared, so that's the least expensive. And what you're going to do is you sign up with us, and then we send you an email saying, yay. And then we recommend that you immediately go and contact Mar de Jade to reserve your room so that you get the room that you want. Like my dear client and friend Barbara is coming, and I know that she's already booked her ocean room. I think she did that even before she signed up for the retreat. She really wants her room. So you can do that, and then if you travel with a friend or a partner or whatever, and you do want to use book the ocean room or the garden room, this is how much it is for you each when you're sharing. So it's actually, obviously, almost always, if you're traveling with somebody else, it's a better deal. But specifically for those more private rooms, otherwise there's the dorm room. And they're super nice at the retreat center. They'll totally walk you through it. You can email them, but you can also call them to book your room and ask questions. I know that there's even some wheelchair accessibility at the retreat center. So it's very inclusive.
Do you know how many people are in a dorm room?
I want to say it's 6 to 8.
Okay.
Or is it 4? I have no idea. Actually, don't listen to me. I don't know. I cannot imagine that it's more than 8. I feel like I read it somewhere once and now I totally forget, but so. Okay,
I can ask when I contact them.
Yeah. Exactly. And also we do offer payment plans for all of these different, the extra special early bird price, which we're in right now, the regular early bird price. If you can't do it now, you decide after October 1st you want to join, you still can. It's still not the full price. But we have payment plans available for any of the tiers of retreat pricing. So
if I understand, the tuition aspect is $1,000 right now.
That's
total.
Right.
Correct?
Right. And then you book your room, and then that's extra from there.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And your flight as well.
Right. Okay.
I thought it was 500 off the 1,000 for the early bird price.
It was $1,475. Now it's 1,000. We already took 500 off.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Love this picture.
I know.
It's a great picture. Great colors.
Oh.
Beautiful. I where I live in Wyoming, I don't have live TV, and I've been staying here with my sister in Texas, and she watches the Bachelor in Paradise, and this it's spelled like the same city of this beautiful place they're filming The Bachelor. It sounds like it.
Oh my God. That's crazy. I don't think I could handle that. I don't think I could handle that many good-looking people in one place.
Well, we're going to be those good looking people. Well, I hope that some of you are inspired to join us. It's going to be really fun and you know, educational but fun. Like, we have fun. I just led a 3-day retreat 2 weekends ago, and it's amazing what happens when you come together with that intention. Everybody just had this like major breakthrough, major transformation. One of my dearest, oldest friends came to the weekend, and, you know, which is like very touching when somebody that you care about like shows up, because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, Mary Sheila, whatever. She's always doing all these things. And she didn't really know what I did. And when she left, she was the last one to leave. She was crying. She was like, these are tears of joy. Like, I cannot believe how much I got out of this. I did not even imagine. I couldn't imagine like how much this is going to change my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like that's the beauty when, you know, it's hard. It's like, oh my gosh, you have to spend all this money. You have to book a room. You have to leave your family and earn your job. What's that? What?
You get to.
Yeah, but I mean, there's all these things that you have to do, and it feels hard, but then, yeah, you get to, but then you get there and you're like, oh, that's right. Like, this one life that I have and how all that stuff I have, like, oh, right. And you get to just like, and you get to create these memories and gain this wisdom and create community. Like, you know, we'll create some awesome community and friendships. And I mean, it's just like, there's so much power in that. I'm just really excited. And I think it's going to be, and it's true. Like, you know, I'm saying like, oh, you have to do all these things to get yourself there. But it seems like sometimes the world is always conspiring to like, you know, no. And then you do it. And it's like, oh yeah, I needed to.
And you really, I mean, it's just so easy to let your self-care not be the priority. Right? Like, we feel bad or we feel guilty or, oh, I have these responsibilities. I guess I won't go. And like, that's where that could happen. And 5 years later, you're like, what happened to my health? You know, and I think just really I just invite all of you. I hope all of you come with us. I hope every single person who's watched this Q&A comes with us. Because this is just, it's such a gift to yourself, and you deserve it and you are worthy of it. And I think it's so important that we all demonstrate that, because you are an example for the other people in your life, but it's such an incredible communication to yourself, what you allow yourself to have and do and be. And, you know, sometimes you have to kind of make it happen. And then you'll be so glad that you did, like what Mary Sheila is saying. Like, it might feel like a lot of effort, but then once you're there, you'll be so grateful and really have an expansive experience that will stay with you for a very long time. So thank you so much for coming to this Q&A call. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. We're so stoked. And yeah, so just everyone who's here live right now, if you click on the button that's on the bottom bar that says chat, you'll see the website courses.talyasKitchen.com/rest-and-digest-retreat. So if you want to copy and paste that while we're still live, you can copy and paste that and put it into any browser, and it'll take you to what we call the sales page, which is basically the page that gives you all the great info, the benefits, all the information about the retreat center and how you can learn more and sign up.
I have a question.
Okay.
I haven't seen that chat part yet, and I'm scrolling around a little bit and doing things.
That's okay. That's okay. When I'm going to send a replay email tomorrow morning, and you're on my list, so you'll get in the replay email, and I can even text you because I have your phone number in my phone. I'll even text you this tonight when we get off this call.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody. Hope we meet again in
I know,
Mexico.
It would be
Woo!
lovely.
Luego.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Good night.
Good night.